Good morning, and welcome to Drawing with Lord Karnage, where I'm doing the finishing work on Heyzoos the Coked Up Chicken number 2, which is coming out on June 8th on Amazon.com and Kindle and print. So, by doing this part of the process as I go through and actually start merging the layers, as you can see, Heyzoos and the background layer are different, as is the frame. Actually going to merge these. I'm going to give him a grayscale, since he is reviewing a game which is a parody of Sonic the Hedgehog called Speedy McGroundhog, and the way that Heyzoos reviews games in his series is that he's influenced by a magical ore called Space Coke, and actually lives in the game. He's part of the game, one with the game, as he's reviewing it. So you can see he's on camera here, but actually inside the game. Inside the game while reviewing it. I might do a different grayscale on his sneakers, but I haven't done that yet. I'm going to put a shade here in the background, and I might color the camera. And this panel here, this is page 9. And I haven't done final QA yet in the writing, so if you see a typo, that gets fixed in the end. In fact, I know I'm changing some dialogue here. There is no Heyzoos, only Super Speedy McGround Chicken. It's a painstaking process, because in this one I go through and just clean up everything. Sometimes I use my mouse when I start to clean up the frame. Oops. And like usual, I'm on the wrong layer. I frequently work on the wrong layer and then realize I'm on the wrong layer. Whoops. So what I've done is I've just banged the camera again and filled in or cleaned up the frame. And I'm adding the grayscale to the Speedy McHedge Chicken character, which differentiates him from normal Heyzoos. Alright, now for this panel, I want to have a grayscale behind it. So I'm going to make a new layer, which is going to be the background layer, which I'm separating from the foreground layer, and adding that, which looks perfect. Alright. And then I'll clean up this camera. What I'm doing here is adding the face onto Edit Station 1's screen. I used to do this with a different font, but now I actually just enjoy. I think it's funnier if I just do it by hand. So that's what I'm doing. We're gonna go in here and just draw his face. Give him a smiley face on this one. Better smiley face. There we go. And then I also add grayscale to Edit Station 1. I'm going to pick that up from that panel, copy and paste it over like that. And that's what the inside of his screen looks like. And the highlight on his antenna. And his pseudo racing stripe on the side. Doing what I would consider the first pass of art cleanup. There's a second and final pass later on, but this is at least the obvious stuff which I see as I'm going through doing the grayscale and finishing work. The Heyzoos issue 2 is roughly 40 some pages of art this time, plus about 20 pages of extras. Turned out to be a really nice book. Far more advanced than the first one. Of course, it's also coming out gosh, about 3 years after the first one. The original Heyzoos, the Coked Up Chicken, was drawn in 2014. I actually did that one with pen and ink on paper. This one is, as you see, being completely digital. The game is starting to fry his brain. So, what kind of face should we put on Edge Station 1 for that? So I might add some background gradation or just black to these panels, but I want to look at it from a distance. Oops. Not yet. Alright, now he's yelling at him, so I think for this one I'm going to do the googly eyeballs, which always look funny, where he has like a period and then an O. There we go. Actually, I want to draw the TV back here with it to match this panel from page 4. And as you can see, he's playing Speedy Mick Groundhog on the Atari 5201 game system, which is a 17-bit game system. Bet you didn't know that. Now you do. Which in the end will be a really nice effect after I fill them in. For the Heyzoos books, I don't tend to do much with the backgrounds beyond designing them to make the panels really pop off the page. It's not a background heavy book, it's cartoony. And obviously Heyzoos and Edit Station 1 are the star of the adventure. So I like to use effects where I can to just enhance the action on the panel, not necessarily take the viewer's eyes into the background, like I would do with something like Ethel or Magnum Skywolf, or one of the more complex books that I'm working on, where I have more establishing shots, especially for Magnum Skywolf, which I'm also working on, which has like all of these like military shots and volcanoes and stuff. Alright, so now that I have that done, I'm going to box it in using a pretty rough tool like that. Okay, I'm grabbing my paint bucket. I'm going to go through color them. And that is the effect. Of course, now there's extraneous lines to clean up, but since it's on its own layer, it's relatively easy. Take out the guides, find where the side of the frame is, and I'm going to cut those guys right out of there and clean up the panel. So this book is actually just about done. I have a handful of pages to complete, but most of the main art is done. The story's obviously done, and I've already set up the next book. So there probably will be another Heyzoos book. The series is always, it's what it is. It's Heyzoos reviewing different parodies of different popular games. I'm going to move his word balloon over now a little bit since it looks a bit sloppy with the... Now, I'm over here in InDesign, and one of the things I'm doing with the new books is letting people know what characters are in each of the books and where they first debuted. So that Heyzoos #2 has Heyzoos, Cosmic Deathbrick, Lord Karnage, Ethel the Cyborg Ninja, Edit Station 1, Wind Squid, and the Space Tentacle Eyeball Monster. There's actually a couple other ones, so I might split this into 2 panels. And I like to start off with also just a bit of plot, in case this is the first one of my books that you pick up. You know what's already happened. And then we start off with Lord Karnage yelling and screaming like usual. I'm going to do some detail work on Earth here. Heyzoos surrounded by a pile of space coke. The pages I was just working on, which have been automatically updated to reflect the changes. Now, I tend to go over here in InDesign and look at the book at as it's progressing, so I can see what both pages look like side by side. I do make these for print, although they look perfectly good in digital as well. But when you actually open the book, there should be a left to right sort of transition. Here's the shot where he gets where the speed of light goes to the bar with the speed of sound and gets drunk, which then destroys the universe. Oh, this panel here needs some work. Alright, so I'm going to edit with, and we're going to pull this image up in Photoshop. Alright. Even Vectronics 9000 makes an appearance in this one. The Heyzoos stories are fun because while they tie into the greater classic game room story, they're side stories since they basically take place in his head. But I still like to reference the actual larger universe events in these books, and Vectronics 9000 is a huge part of that, and one of the main supervillain in the Ethel the Cyborg Ninja series. Since Vectronics 9000 is a four-dimensional 1970s vector graphics based networked video game system which is evil and taking over the universe. Would help if I was on the right layer. There we go. And I have to do some cleanup here in this guy. Must have drawn this one quickly one night. So go in there, and I'm glad that you're here to listen to me, because I'm actually kind of bored. This is not my favorite part of the process. I don't think this is anybody's favorite part of the process. Finishing is the hardest part, really. And creating, it's kind of fun. It's relatively easy by comparison, but tying off all the details, getting the thing ready to print. So just recently I'm doing a bit of testing with another site my friend told me about called Webtoon. And I'm launching my Surf Panda book, which is a kid's book. So obviously very different than the Heyzoos book, for a lot of reasons. I launched Surf Panda over there, or at least I guess a version of it. And on the Heyzoos side, I'm actually sort of rebranded and redrew and reformatted the strip I worked on in 2015 called Disco 8-Track. And you can find that on Webtoon right now in a totally different format and in color, called Ugloob Star, which features Heyzoos and Edit Station 1 and Cosmic Death Brick, and I'll be compiling all of those into their own book later on. I'm actually going to include one or two of them in this book, in Heyzoos number 2, but get the grayscale in there. Oops. And he's laughing because Heyzoos has lit himself on fire. Because Edit Station 1 is just, you know, he's kind of a dick. Anyway, so if you go to Webtoon and look up Ugloob Star, Y-U-U-G-L-U-B-E, which has always been my parody of, you know, that other site, I think you'll find it. There's only like 2 of them up there, maybe 3 of them by the time you read this. I gotta finish the book first, so the Heyzoos book takes priority. Getting close to finishing this page here, bouncing the camera. Got to add some more word bubbles to the top. But basically, Speedy McHeyzoos, or whatever I'm going to end up really finalizing on his name here, knocks a flowery fire out of a brick, parody of something, and lights himself on fire in the process. And he'll use that to possibly flame broil the giant hamburger that's trying to eat him, because this is how it works in Heyzoos' mind.